Do your students struggle with finding false or biased information? Are they unaware of how to cite sources or even know what a source is? Do you find sentences in your student work that obviously came from a website or AI? Then what you need is information literacy.
Hi, I'm Greg Aiken, Tech Coach at Dinuba Unified, and I'm here to talk about information literacy. According to reputable sources like ISTE and Common Sense Education, information literacy is one of the cornerstones of digital citizenship. But students often lack the knowledge and skills they need to find credible sources of information, ethically use that information, and properly give credit to those who worked so hard to provide that information. Teachers feel overburdened by all the fake news, the clickbait, the unethical practices that they find in their classrooms, like
cheating and plagiarism, websites with biased, unfounded, or faulty information, the new challenges posed by artificial intelligence. What are they to do?
Information literacy has the power to tackle all of these research and ethical challenges and more. It works at all grade levels and addresses those questions that pop up year after year. What's a good source for my third grader's animal report? What do I do if I suspect my 7th grader used ChatGPT to write her essay? And how should my high schooler cite sources of information? What about using images? Is that okay? I don't even know!
Information literacy comes in 3 convenient sizes to meet all of those needs: primary, intermediate, and high school.
Primary information literacy looks like having conversations with your primary students about the fact that they can't believe everything that they see online. One resource to teach these skills is the media literacy lesson, Meet Head of the Digital Citizens from Common Sense Education. This lesson discusses the importance of using your head when you read information online. An activity you could do with your class is to show them a variety of information and have students discuss what's real and what's fake and why they think so. One resource for this activity is a video called What Can You Trust Online by UK Safer Internet Centre. It's available for free on YouTube and has students identify real facts from fake facts about meerkats. And who doesn't love meerkats? But what about intermediate students? We've got information literacy for them too. In grades 4 through 8, information literacy moves from theory into practice as students begin to access internet resources for their own research projects. While most of these resources are curated on sites like Britannica, National Geographic Kids, or ProQuest, this is a great time to teach students about what makes sources credible and what should raise red flags. On the younger end of the range, Common Sense Media has a lesson called Is Seeing Believing?, which addresses doctoring photos and special effects in videos. On the higher end, Common Sense's lesson Finding Credible News helps kids tell the difference between fake news sources and sources they can trust. It encourages them to look at possible bias of the sources and whether the news is corroborated by other news sources, and if it comes from a long-standing and trusted source of information with institutional pedigree. At this age, it's important not only to teach students how to choose sources, but how to properly cite their information. A key activity is to have students keep track of sources and produce a bibliography or works cited list for research projects and explain that this is important and recognize and give credit to the people who worked so hard to do the research that generated this information for our use. And with this size, you get a bonus topic: copyright. We should teach students that we don't own the images and the works that we find on the internet. We've got to get permission to reuse them. And we must cite them when using them for educational purposes. It's a 2-for-1. Finally, we've got high school-sized information literacy. For grades 9 through 12, students are preparing to be lifelong scholars by learning how to properly cite the sources they use in their research by following a style guide, whether MLA, APA, or a school-created expectation. Students can also take a more nuanced and critical approach to information that they read and research. At this age, Common Sense Media lessons cover information silos, the economic incentives behind clickbait and fake news, and how to check our own confirmation bias. It's important to help students navigate the plethora of information that is targeting them to persuade, to commodify, and to convince them for commercial and political reasons. One activity to facilitate this would be to look at the way a particular news event is covered by a variety of sources, and to research the funding and the bias each source has to illuminate how that influenced the coverage. Learning to be aware of the possible incentives and motives behind different information sources online, even from established organizations, can help our students become more discerning and responsible digital citizens. So, what would you be willing to pay for such an incredible product? All it will cost you is a little time and effort. Don't delay. Bring information literacy into your classroom today.